Hey guys, Kev here, and I have some cool new prototypes. These are Divo prototypes from Remette. So if you guys know Remette knife, they have some really cool designs. I've worked with them quite a bit, reviewing their stuff, and I really like what they are doing. Their quality is really good, and we got to talking, and I told them I was looking for a OEM to work on the bit driver and on the bender. We had prototypes made by, let me grab it, prototypes made by Best Tech on the bender here. And we wanted to just see if any other OEMs could give it a shot. We really like Best Tech. They do a really good work. If you guys have seen the recent Stout V2 drop over at Traditional Pocket Knives, which I believe are still available in left-handed and right-handed configuration, we have these three versions. There's the 80s, and then the watermelon sugar with belt satin. These are in Vanex Super Clean, which is really cool. And then we have this blacked out one with dark matter glow, PVD frame, PVD black wash on the blade. These are available at Traditional Pocket Knives only. So check that out. I'll link it down below. Shout out to Austin over there. Great dude. And Best Tech does unbelievable work. The quality on these is fantastic. Same with this prototype right here and the other ones we got from them. The only downside is the cost. They are quite expensive. They are, as far as we've come across, the most expensive OEM. Part of that is because they're actually a third-party OEM. So they're not really an OEM, I guess. They use different shops depending on the project. They have like a premium shop, which made these, and then they have like a budget shop that makes their more affordable stuff. But no matter the model and no matter how you slice it, they are more expensive than any other OEM. And so we just wanted to try and see if we could get some stuff made elsewhere and get similar quality and maybe bring the cost down, because we really don't want the price for you guys to get too high. That's kind of where we're coming from on it. Like the stouts right here, the V2s, they're so good. We priced them at $375 because they're just extremely expensive to make. This is the most expensive knife that we've ever had made. When talking to other brands, it's, you know, more expensive than anything they've really done. And so when you see, you know, Best Tech made premium stuff with, you know, this has inlays and titanium frame plus Vanex. You're talking about belt satins and stuff, milled clips. It's more intricate than just a frame lock design. You know, you're talking about a $350 plus knife. And you guys, if you follow us, you know we really like to offer our products at, you know, a lower cost if possible. Now, that's kind of what led us to where we're at now. And I'm not saying we're never going to use Best Tech again. We obviously literally just use them for a Stout V2 run. And depending if, you know, a dealer wants to do a knife, we've already run with them, or, you know, maybe things change in the future and we want to move forward with other stuff with them, we will. So I have no ill will with Best Tech, and I'm not telling anybody not to use them. Their quality is impeccable. So if you get a knife made by Best Tech, I think you're really going to enjoy it. Here's one that I'm carrying today. This is one of my favorite knives this year. This is the High Grains Design DeVille. And this has a similar build to the Stout V2. This has Magna Cut on it and a dark matter gold fat carbon. And then you have titanium bolsters on it. Really nice. You do have a belt satin, hollow ground blade. So very similar build. I think these are somewhere around 360 base and maybe a little more as you get nicer stuff on them. So yeah, highly recommend their stuff. But we wanted to just see if another OEM could take a crack at it. And then we also just wanted to test out Remette. We wanted to work with Remette. They're really good people. I've really enjoyed my connection with them through the channel. So this is kind of how we got here. Sorry for the long story there. But I'll talk about the bit driver first for a little bit, and then we'll switch over to the bender. Now, this product right here is what we're calling the Divo Screwdriver. And the reason we call it that is because there is a drink called the Screwdriver, and we name all of our products after alcoholic beverages of some sort. It's just the theme we went with. I stopped drinking a few years ago, but Colin holds down the fort for us. And so we thought it'd be nice and simple, the Screwdriver, right? And this is a sort of custom sample that we had made. Now, the designer of this is actually Oleg from o.show. That's his sort of designer handle. That's his Instagram, o.show. Absolutely fantastic human being. I've really enjoyed working with him. And when I saw this product, he sent me a 3D sample, which I have somewhere, but I'm not going to go fish it out. I loved it. I think it's really, really cool because you have this base that holds all your bits. It has really nice spin to it. If you take all the bits out of it, you can basically use it as a fidget spinner. It used to have both sides with this indent right here, so basically it felt like a fidget spinner too. But in order to just make it a little bit more comfortable on the table and everything, we flatten this side out. It's not really meant to be a fidget, but it really works. It has a good bearing in there. This is the Remette one right here, one of them, and spins really well. So you could use this as a fidget. And then you have the driver, of course, with another spinner on the back of that. And it's got a really good shape and size, in my opinion. It's really comparable and whatnot to the Audacious Concepts drivers. Now, it's completely different, but size-wise, it's like right in the middle. And I really love this driver. It's one of my favorite drivers that I've ever used. And the small one's nice when you need something just, you know, small to get to or whatever. But they don't have any fidget to them, really. You can't spin this for a long time. So this has a similar size, super comfortable grip because it has these kind of bulbs on it. And then it has a really good spinning, bearing on the back, which is fun to play with. And it has a nice little secret. So you can take a T8 or whatever you want as your main driver up here, your main bit up here. And then this middle section unscrews and you can put a secondary bit in there. So you can store a T6 in this case in here. And now if I take it apart, well, guess what? I technically have two drivers. You could hold it like this and kind of functionality wise, use it like a finger bit to lock down a spinning barrel of some kind. Now, you're not going to have as much control as you would with a finger bit because you don't have as much grip on this small thing, but it does work. If you're trying to tighten up, a knife or something where it has a spinning, like barrel down here, you could put this on one side and then tighten it with your driver on the other side. Or you could just use it for that storage purpose to have an extra bit, or you could just use this as a tiny little driver. It kind of packs this V2 or V5 Audacious Concepts into a full-size one. It's really unique in that sense, and I really loved these features that I saw on the 3D printed prototype that Oleg sent me. So I asked him, like, hey, dude, would you want to do this as a project together? We'll make it a Divo project. It'll be designed by you, obviously. And then it'll be like a licensed design. We'll give him, a certain commission or whatever on the one sold. I don't know if we've detailed all that stuff out, but yeah. So that's kind of the product, which is really fun. And he had a few made. He's from the Ukraine, and he had a few made by a local shop. So this one's essentially a custom-made driver. And he can only have so many made, right? They can't make a bulk order where we want to order like 100 or 200, or depending on how you guys like it, we can order more, right? Well, the shop can only make a few at a time, right? So he had a few made to test it out and everything. He sent me a couple. I actually sent the other one at a Stonewash one. I sent it off to a different OEM. So we are actually waiting on prototypes from Get Good Screw as well on this driver, because I looked everywhere to find an OEM for this, and we had a few people who were interested, and then they were like, it's too complicated. You know, it is a bit complicated because you have magnets in a bunch of these spots, because as soon as I got a hold of the 3D print, I thought instantly we need to add a magnet here and here so that this can connect to the base and keep it in place, because it's easy to knock it over, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what we did here. You can see it lifts it up, but it's empty right now. And this magnet's a little stronger. If I slowly pull it up, I can lift the base, but any resistance and it falls. So what you do is you just kind of tilt it a tiny bit and pick it up. And now the base doesn't come up with it or anything, right? And you know, that's the details. We got to figure out the exact magnet strength or whatever. And you know, magnets are a little bit tricky to dial in, but it's obviously very simple. And that way it keeps your driver in place. If you accidentally bump it or something, unless you really tip it, it's not going to just fall over. It'll kind of bounce back into place, right? So easy system there. And then you have this cool base that spins around with the bits in it. Or again, you could take them out and make it kind of like a fidget. So like I said, we are waiting for prototypes from Get Good Screw as well. But we got these in from Remette, and I really like the way they executed this. They came out really good. I've already shown you the detail. They made this blurple one as well, which is cool. It has a really good blurple to it, where you get purples and blues, and then if you look like in these holes, you get kind of purple on each of the holes, which looks really nice. So I'm really impressed with their work. There's a couple things that we would want to tweak. So if we went with them in production, we would probably make a couple of changes. Like I would probably want the magnet for the bit at the front to be a little stronger. Actually, both. Want this to be a little stronger. It's a little too easy to pull it out. And sometimes you get a screw that has really good tooling, and you go to remove the bit when you're done tightening, and then the bit just comes out with it because it's not that strong. I had the same issue with this one. This one has really weak magnets, but it still does have a magnet in there. It's just super weak. Same with the base, but this is a little bit stronger, so I do like that. And then in here, we actually need to figure something out, because if you look at it, this drops in. There is a magnet in there, but again, it's not strong enough, because I've had it where I tighten it, and then that bit actually gets pulled down to this magnet, I think. It pulls it forward, and then you take it apart, and your bit's on this side. So we need to make some adjustments there. I think the way they engineered the inside here is different than the CAD file we sent. Oleg had full CAD files. We detailed everything, magnets, bearings, all that stuff. And when I showed him the inside of this, he said it did look different than the way he intended. So we'll have to map that out. I think that'll be a pretty simple fix. You can actually drop one in like that too. I don't know why you would want to do that, but you could. It's just on this prototype. I think that would change. Maybe we can somehow put a cover over the magnet, or I don't know. I didn't have that issue with either of the samples that I had from the custom ones. So it's definitely possible to have this work where you just open it and that bit stays in there. Actually, this one seems to have stayed in there pretty well. Although the first couple times I did it, it did end up down here. So I don't know, that's a detail we have to figure out. And then it's a little like beat up in here. I don't know what happened there, but you know, prototypes, that's, you know, what you do with prototypes is figure out these little details and dial them in for production. But overall, they look really good. They feel good. I haven't, you know, disassembled anything with them yet. I got them. I opened them yesterday, but they're really good. So we're gonna keep testing those, and we're gonna wait till we get those drivers from Get Good Screw. We're gonna have to compare pricing. That's kind of the main thing. I think we're gonna end up offering the driver and the base separately, or we'll have some kits and then we'll also sell them separately, because the base does add a bit of cost to the overall product. And I know some of you probably just want a driver. So in that case, it'd be easier to sell them separately, so you don't have to spend that extra, you know, however much it is. We haven't gotten any pricing from Remette on any of this stuff yet. So, you know, bear with me on that. We'll see how that goes. But I wanted to just show you the process we go through with prototypes and whatnot. So these are the benders, and we did tweak the design from what we did with Best Tech. So Best Tech, you know, helped us, and we got the prototypes done. But then there were some things we wanted to change, so we altered everything. Not everything. We altered things on the Remette prototype. So these are not the same file or anything, but they are, you know, similar. We asked for a more, like a, how do I explain it? We basically asked for more contouring, because in hand, this feels a little bit flat. It feels like it could use a little bit more ergonomics, a little bit more comfortable in the hand, and that's what we did here. So we have a little bit more contouring going on. I don't know if you can see a difference, but you can definitely feel the difference. It feels really good in the hand. We also took the clip and we knocked some edges down. So if you look at the clip here, you'll see you have this rounded area on the end here, where on the original prototypes, these corners are sharp and you can feel them in your hand. So we wanted to knock those down. So we did that. We're still waiting to see if these corners can be an issue at all in the hand. Doesn't seem like it. I think the clip was the main thing to worry about. So they feel really good in the hand. Another change is we wanted to fix the plunge, because this one obviously does not have a good plunge grind. I've told you guys, clips and plunge grinds have been very important to us as of late. So we corrected that. We added like a sharpening choil in there. Hopefully, you know, that looks a lot better to you guys. And that could further get altered. It could be deeper, you know, whatever. Trying to think of what else we changed. I don't know if we added any like lock bar access or anything. It felt really good the way it was. Trying to think. There weren't a ton of changes. We just needed some quality of life improvements, basically. So then I noticed when I got these in that there's a few things that are different than what we thought was coming and what we asked for. And that's kind of how it goes with prototypes, of course. You have this hump here, and it just seems more pronounced than it did on the originals. You can see it does have a slight sort of hump here, but this one has a very pronounced hump. And I don't like the way that looks. I like how clean this handle looks. So that's one thing that we would alter. The blade seems like, and this might have something to do with the hump and how it, sort of changes everything else. But the blade kind of seems like it's canted up a little bit. I don't think it is, but it kind of has that visual where this feels like it's straight. You see that? So you can see how the handle or the spine here of the blade goes into the handle and then it's flat right here. So you have this flat it's flush at that point. Here, because I think this hump comes up and it has to come down, you have it where the scales are above the tang of the blade or the spine of the blade there. And that, I think, gives it that little bit of a cant, or what it looks like a cant, if that makes sense. So there's that. The blade is not hollow ground. These are flat ground. We definitely asked for a hollow grind. I remember sending extremely detailed images of the prototypes to show how ridiculously awesome these hollow grinds are. And that's the thing, right? I'm not complaining about Best Tech, or I'm not complaining about their quality. This knife is fantastic. The prototype is fantastic. We're just trying to, obviously check out other OEMs and see if we can bring the cost down at all. So this is perfect. I love the way they did the blade. The blade is fantastic on these Best Tech prototypes. It's still really thin and slicey. I mean, you can see it's still nice and thin. It's still going to be super slicey, but the hollow grind is absolutely bananas. And we definitely want that, right? We want that super thin slicer. So that's something we'll discuss. Hopefully it was just an error in production and they can do it, They did do a really nice belt satin here. So confirm they can do a really sick belt satin. That's good, because that's usually one of the things that companies can't do. Like, for example, this Vosteed OEM'd or Grand Knife OEM'd Nip L was supposed to have a belt satin. We were told it was a belt satin. It's not. We also asked for hollow grind on this. Again, some companies just seem to not do hollow grinds. And I think it might be because it requires like a skilled artisan. Same with a belt satin. So sometimes they just can't do it. They don't have that person. They have to outsource it or whatever. In which case, usually it costs a little bit more, but that's okay. Anyway, they did do a belt satin. One other thing I noticed is if you look at this, the blade does sort of curve up slightly at the tip. You see how it comes up to the tip, but it's clean. It's built in. It looks natural. Here, it looks like it just kind of has this jut up. It kind of has like a hawkbill feel to it almost. So that's something that would need to be addressed. Just a little bit cleaner line up to that tip. Overall, they feel really good. The detents are incredible. I'd say the detents are definitely better than the ones from Best Tech. These are good. They're just a little bit softer. One other thing I noticed, there's two more things that I noticed. When you close the blade, you come here and you can swing the blade down, and pretty much wherever you are, you're not going to hit that tang right there and catch the blade. Now, if you really like jam your finger up here when you're closing it, you can sort of catch it there. But it's very, very hard to do so. On this one, that piece, that tang piece, that corner, really comes through the path of your thumb. So if you're up here at all, you get hit by it. If you're down here, it clears. So that's something that would need to be addressed, right? And that might all play into this hump area and adjusting, so pulling this down, bringing this to flush, that would probably pull that in, and then we'd be good. It's probably just a minor update in production. The last thing here is when I took this apart, I didn't take it all the way apart, but I started taking it apart and I was like, oh shit, what's going on here? Well, it unscrewed from this side and there's no captive pivot. So on this one, there's a D shape in here, and the D shape obviously keeps the pivot from spinning, so you can disassemble it. And especially if you have a non-tooled side, you definitely do not want a spinning pivot. If we wanted that, we would just add tooling on this side. So we have to make sure they're able to do a captive pivot. If not, I guess we'll just add tooling there. But once you tighten it down, they're dead centered. All three of them are perfectly centered. Excellently centered. The action is very good. No complaints. Oops. No complaints on the action. Detents are crisp. So that's definitely positive, right? We're getting really good deployments on the knife. The ergonomics feel really good in hand. So minor things, but there are some items we would want to tweak. And I basically told them, hey, we probably would need like a production sample. I don't know if we need another prototype, but maybe like a production sample just to make sure all these things were dialed in. We did add this sort of flat corner here. That's something we've been trying to do on knives that have this kind of setup. I don't think this has it now because this is a choil. But you'll probably see it more going forward. We added this flat corner. I would attribute that to, I think, CKF, Custom Knife Factory on the Evos. I think that's the knife that I saw it on. It might have been something else. But I think it was the Davlis, the CKF Davlis. It has this sort of corner right here, or sorry, angle right here, so that when you disengage the knife and it hits your thumb, you're not getting hit with a sharp point, because that's usually what happens. It's sharpened all the way to the heel, and you get this sharp point right here, and that's what hits you in the thumbnail. Well, on knives like this, we're putting this sort of straight angled line there so that it softens the blow a little bit and you can have more fun fidgeting with it. I hope that makes sense. But I want to credit the correct company with that. You can see the D10 is nice and early. Should compare those. This one's probably going to be a little earlier still. So that's where it hits right there. That's where that hits. No, they're pretty dead on. So I really do think that the little minor differences there, where that swings through and the hump, I think it's all attributed to this hump. If we just pull that hump down, that'll bring this up, that'll pull that in, and that should fix that easily. So very cool, very cool. They did an excellent job. We're really happy, and we really appreciate Remette for working with us. This one's actually DLC, so that's a cool feature as well. I wanted to try to do something in DLC. Previously working with Bestech, we had been told things were DLC, but they really weren't. I think they're now telling people up front, and they're offering DLC as a paid add-on type thing, so that's good. I haven't actually tested this, so I guess we're gonna find out if it really is DLC now. So there you go, some scratching. And I'll zoom in. You can see where I was scratching there. Here's a cloth. We'll just see if it comes off. And there you go. You can see some streaks, but I'm pretty sure if I took a alcohol cloth, let's do that. It's hard to tell if that's just residue on there. So I can't see anything with the naked eye where I was, scratching on it. You can see that's alcohol, just needs to dry or whatever. Don't see scratches. I can kind of see where I was going back and forth, but they're not scratches. I don't know if there's any experts in the comments. Let me know what you think on that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see scratches, but I do see something, obviously. You can see it too. I also noticed on the handle that it looks a little bit like burnt, sorta. Like I don't know if it just needs to be wiped down and then that colorway will change. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be DLC, so. Although a lot of companies don't actually do DLC on the handle as well. And it is still easier to mark up your handle with DLC because the material underneath is softer. You know what I mean? So let me know if you're an expert on DLC, what you think of that. What else? It doesn't look like PVD to me because it's not that just jet black color. Like normally when you see PVD, you know, that's PVD with a stonewash on it. It's a little different. So I believe it's DLC. Yeah, I like the blue. I like the pop on the blue. It's nice and shiny. Look at that. Let me know what you guys think on that blue. Better than some that I've seen, for sure. I think the purple could be a little bit more vibrant. So hopefully they could do the same thing that they did with the blue, but on the purple, you know? And then this was supposed to be a dark blast. It looks more like something got tumbled afterwards, but it is a darker color, obviously, and this is a bead blast. I think, personally, I honestly like the bead blast better in this scenario. And then this would be DLC. You can see it has more of that gray color. And it does depend on how the blade and the handle were finished before it was applied. So, and you can see the PVD on the screws. The screws are like jet black, right? That's PVD. And then the clip is DLC too. At least that's my interpretation by looking at this. And it's so funny. I cannot see those scratches or anything visual. Like when I'm looking at it, I can't see them. It's just when I get it under the camera and then the light hits, I can see like where I did it, but it's not like actually scratched. So I'm curious what you guys think of that. But yeah, shout out to Remette. I appreciate them very, very much. I want them to know that they're awesome, and we thank them for getting these prototypes done for us. And we're gonna, you know, obviously spend some time with them. And we need to get the pricing from them. We still haven't gotten that. That's going to be obviously a big step. And I need to get these to Colin so that he can check them out and see what he thinks. And we'll kind of go from there. So that is the video. Remette prototypes for Divo knives. We got the bender and the screwdriver. Let me know what you guys think. I love you. I appreciate all of you. And I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.